about you. You got something I need. Daughter of Aphrodite, hear my words and take heed. Alright, Thrill Seekers, that was a cut from Kiss's album Destroyer, and we're going to talk about things being destroyed today. So, here goes. I think I have talked about this koan before on this YouTube channel, but I can't remember exactly what I said or when it was, so we're going to talk about it again. And it is case number 24 in Dogen's Shinji Shobo Genzo, and I'm going to tell you another place you can find it, but I'm going to read you the version that my teacher put out in Shinji Shobo Genzo first. One day, a monk asked Master Daizui Hoshin from the Eki district, "When the eternal fire comes and all 3,000 worlds are being destroyed, will this world also be destroyed?" Master Daizui Hoshin said, "It will be destroyed." The monk said, "If this is true, I would like to follow circumstances." Master Daizui Hoshin said, "Yes, we should follow circumstances." Now I'm going to tell you why my teacher's translation of this is a little iffy, but before I do that, I'm going to read his commentary, which goes, "We should follow circumstances is a famous saying of the Chinese master Joshu Jushin. It means that we should follow the rule of the universe. The monk seems to have had some doubt about this principle if the circumstances include the destruction of the world. The master affirmed that we should follow circumstances even if we are on the eve of the great fire. The great fire represents the limits of reality. We can make our plans and efforts, but in the real world, things do not always go our way. Our plans may go awry, or we may discover that we are trying to change something that cannot be changed. The Buddhist attitude is to accept and deal with the reality of the situation, even if that reality is not one we would have chosen. This attitude is illustrated by the story of the Buddhist monk who was chased by a tiger. The monk ran as fast as he could, but he was no match for the tiger. Soon he found himself trapped between the tiger and a cliff. A little way below the top of the cliff he noticed some vines and, with the tiger close behind, he climbed down the vines and held on. The vines were not strong enough to support his weight, and slowly they began to come loose from the side of the cliff. Just at that moment, with his support giving way and the tiger roaring angrily overhead, the monk noticed some ripe berries. He reached out and put a few in his mouth. The taste was sweet and delicious. This is the Buddhist attitude. When the circumstances called for the monk to make a fierce effort to escape, he did so. The reality of the situation was that no escape was possible, which is basically life. The monk was able to accept this calmly. This peaceful attitude was the sweet fruit the monk was able to find even in this extreme situation. And I like his commentary a lot, and I like one part of his translation, but I don't like another part of his translation. So just to give you a little balance, we'll go for John Daido Lory's version, which appears in, what's this book called? The True Dharma Eye, Zen Master Dogen's 300 Koans, in which Lory does not give credit to the fact that this one was published a few years before it. Anyway, his version goes, this is, I assume, translated by Kazuaki Tanahashi, the koan. And then the commentary is John Daido Lory. Zen Master Fa Zhen of Mount Dasui. So the names are different because Nishijima Roshi is using the Japanese pronunciation, and Tanahashi is using the Chinese pronunciation. So he was once asked by a monastic, it is said that the great Kalpa fire will flash and annihilate the billion worlds. Can you tell me if this very place will also be destroyed? Now, that's the translation difference. He says Nishijima Roshi has this world will be destroyed. And the actual words used in Chinese is more like this, and without even indicating what this means. Will this be destroyed? And I think that's an important point. Anyway, Dasui said, it will. The monastic said, if so, will I be a part of it? Dasui said, yes, you will. Okay. Now, the commentary, I'm just going to give you this for poops and laughs. Okay, I'll just tell you what it is. With his single question, it becomes clear that this monastic is drowning in the midst of the double barrier. What does the double barrier mean? I don't know. Da Sui, with grandmotherly compassion, pushes his head underwater and holds it there. Does he? The monastic doesn't know how to roll over and emerge like a gourd. This is like, he's trying to sound like a translation of an old Chinese. Emerge like a gourd. He's an American. No American says emerge like a gourd. And so Da Sui must act again. This time the arrow goes straight to the heart of the matter. But say, what is the monastic's double barrier? Okay, what does it mean to roll over and emerge like a gourd? And indeed, what is the heart of the matter? Haven't you heard it said, there is nowhere to hide the true self when the world collapses, it is indestructible? This being the case, why does a renowned teacher of our school say it will be destroyed? Now that last part I think is good, but the rest of it I don't get, and it annoys me. I'd like to give you a few other translations of the koan, because I found that in the Book of Serenity, or aka Book of Equanimity, also includes this koan. And by the way, I looked it up in Gateless Gate and Mumonkan, what's the other one? Blue Cliff Record. It doesn't appear in either of those. So it appears in Shinji Shobogenzo and it appears in Book of Serenity. But here is Thomas Cleary's translation. A monk asked Da Sui, when the fire at the end of an aeon rages through and the whole universe is destroyed, is this destroyed or not? So that's, I think, a straight translation, because I can see the Chinese characters. Cleary includes those. And this, ko, is the character used, and it means kind of this. Will this be destroyed or not? Da Sui said, destroyed. That's a very direct translation, because that's really what the Chinese characters say. Da Sui says, destroyed. The monk said, then it goes along with that? Now we're going to be discussing that bit. Da Sui said, it goes along with that. Now, this version of the koan adds a second part. And here is the second part, which doesn't appear in Shinji Shobogenzo. A monk asked Long Yi, when the fire ending the eon rages through and the whole universe is destroyed, is this destroyed or not? Exactly the same question. Long Yi said, not destroyed. The monk said, why is it not destroyed? Long Yi said, because it is the same as the universe. And we get, here's another version of this. I think this is, I forgot to put who did this, but this might be the Sambo Kyodan Society, just to give you one last version. A monk asked Daisui, when the great Kalpa fire bursts out, the whole universe will be destroyed. I wonder if it will be destroyed or not. Daisui said, destroyed. Daisui said, destroyed. The monk said, if so, will it be gone with the other? Now that's a direct translation of the Chinese characters, and Daisui said, gone with the other. And then the next version. A monk asked Ryu Sai, when the great Kalpa fire bursts out and the whole universe will be destroyed, I wonder if it will also be destroyed or not. Ryu Sai said, not destroyed. The monk said, why is it not destroyed? Ryu Sai said, because it is the same as the whole universe. And hey, I was wrong about something. As I was reading that other one, that last translation, I noticed a footnote, and it said, see case 29 of Hekigan Ryoku, Roku, the Blue Cliff Record. And here's Blue Cliff Record, Hekigan Ryoku. Here's case 29 of the Blue Cliff Record. A monk asked Daisui, when the Kalpa fire flares up and the great cosmos is destroyed, I wonder, will it perish or will it not perish? Zui said, it will perish. The monk said, then it will be gone with the other. Zui said, it will be gone with the other. So that is how it appears in Blue Cliff Record, which is part of Two Zen Classics. So the key phrase in the shorter version of the koan is the one that Nishijima Roshi translates as just follow circumstances. And this is something that was important to him. Just follow circumstances was something he said a lot in his lectures. And just in case I'm unable to put it up on the screen because this first kanji is weird, here is my sort of grade school level Chinese character drawing skills showing you what the characters are. And That's what's being translated as just follow circumstances. And the first character has a lot of meanings, but the important meanings are to obey, follow, conform, or observe. So that's the first one. And it is Zui. And it's also the name of Dai Zui, the master in this story. Dai Zui is great great obedience, great following. It has another meaning, which is at the mercy of the waves, is the literal meaning of that one. So so it means to follow or conform to something. And then these other ones are what Nishijima Roshi is translating as circumstances. So that's other and past. Other past. And it's in just standard Japanese, that means the past, and that means other. These are characters I'm really familiar with because they show up all the time in just mundane sort of non-Buddhist contexts. But the idea is just follow circumstances, just go along with what's happening. Go along with what's happening, once again, as I always say whenever this comes up, does not mean just kind of give in to anything that goes, but understand that you are part of circumstances. And that's what the second bit means, where it says it will not be destroyed because it is the same as the universe. So this has the bigger metaphysical meaning of the it that we're talking about. Will it be destroyed? Will this be destroyed? Or will this world be destroyed? In the Nishijima translation, which I don't like very much, I'm not sure how it got turned into this world, because that's not what the Chinese characters say, but we'll leave that alone. Will this be destroyed? And this is the subject, the subject and object, we're talking about. So we have this sense that I am the subject looking out upon a world, a universe of objects. And once all of the objects are destroyed, will this also be destroyed? So you can look at it in a kind of almost science fiction-y way and say, in the great heat death of the universe, or whatever happens at the end of the universe, does this self also vanish? And that's the kind of great self that's in the Advaita tradition and in the Buddhist and the Zen tradition too. Does this self, this whatever this is that from which all of this springs, does this get destroyed too? And the answer is both yes and no, which I find really interesting. And that's kind of the way Buddhism always ends up, the way Zen always ends up anyway, is the answer is always yes and no. Does it get destroyed? Yes and no. So that's that. I think that's a really interesting koan, and I just wanted to kind of present you a short, brief introduction to it. You could probably spend years, and probably I'm sure some people who work on the koan study tradition do spend years contemplating on that one. And you could contemplate that one for years. So there you go. You've got a few years. You can contemplate it. I hope you enjoy it. Anyway, and apologies to anyone who couldn't hear the second part of the video that I put up yesterday. I have no idea why. I banged my head against a table for hours. I actually spent hours trying to get that better, and I couldn't. So I don't know what's wrong. But hopefully you heard all the way to the end of this one, and maybe in a later episode I'll kind of talk about what I talked about in that other. Anyway, whatever. So if you want to support me till the end of the Great Kalpa Fire, you can go to the URL you are seeing on the screen below, which is hardcorezen.info/donate. That is hardcorezen.info/donate. There you will find links to my PayPal and Patreon accounts. Those are my main means of support, and I really appreciate your support. But as always, this is offered for free, so you don't got to pay if you don't want to pay. We will see you next time. Have a good time all the time. Bye. Hey, Ziggy. Ziggy. Do you like my bass playing? You want to hear some more? Yeah, you want to hear some more, don't you? Okay, let's hear some more.